It is the third anniversary of the death of Ghana's former president, John Evans Atta Mills, and we just gave you some recollection of some of his speeches and notably some of his interactions with journalists in our country. Well, we have in the studio Joseph Ni Adekoka, and he is the NDC's Greater Accra Regional Chairman. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, of course, 3 years on, what would we say has been the legacy of the former president?
Let me say good morning to your esteemed viewers and yourself.
Thank you.
And I like the last bite of I'm not a cat hunter. Truly, he was the cat hunter because this was a president who has humor, right? First and foremost, a very good Christian. We've started Christian upbringing, right? He was not vindictive. You remember, you recall when he was in a position, he was in Canada. His wife was, their house was raided. The wife was taken to BNI, and knowing the wife as a very quiet woman, she was very much disturbed. Here's a president who did not, somebody would have come in, I mean, really gone to town and dealt with those who have really upset his household. But here he was, you know, and he said he was not a cat hunter. Right. People were advocating for a lot of things for him to do. And he said, no. He didn't want a country that was divided. He wanted to have a country that was united. And he shows throughout his whole life. And he said, he always used to say, with Christ in his vessel, he ride at the storm. And that is one of my, you remember when I was doing my campaign, that was one of the words I was using.
I remember.
You know, and it's very inspiring. Very adept, you know, I mean, Fulbright scholar at the age of, he finished his PhD at the age of 27. And that tells you the kind of where he was coming from. So I believe we as a nation have lost a gem, have lost a very good person. And, you know, Buhari, we were told, made a statement that Professor Mills is a good man. And I was surprised here that when Professor Mills came to, Buhari came to Ghana after he lost an election. President hosted him at Pedrasi Lodge. It tells you the kind of person he was. You know, in terms of diplomacy, he always ensured that he practiced his trade on the background. He never made himself loud. Witness the Côte d'Ivoire debacle and other areas. You know, he really went behind closed doors and dealt with the situation. So, for me, personally, I've known Professor Mills over a long period of time before he became president.
Oh, really?
My uncle was then the chief tax collector at VAT, Mr. Wilberforce. When he died, Professor Mills then took over. And then in terms of sports, we go a long way. When I was in the Olympics, and then he was the board chairman for Accra House of Folk. We met at Accra Sports Stadium on numerous occasions. And then when we went to the politics, I was one of the people who was always around him, you know, campaigning. Sometimes from afar, we could tell him, this is what we should do, this is what we should do. And so we've 3 years down the line, I'm glad that today you are remembering him. I hope everybody in this country, for one moment, give a 1 minute silence redemption to remember him. He was a man, he was a gentleman, he was a statesman.
Did he have flaws? Because I'm asking this because consistently, well, he was tagged as somebody who was very slow as far as in implementing whatever policies that he intended. Ultimately, he got them done, though, but at his own pace.
Exactly. You know, every human being has got a fault. We cannot claim to be infallible. Everybody has got a fault, right? But I believe that you look at the strength of the person. Where the weaknesses are, you build on the weaknesses to become a strength. And I believe that way. He was slow, people were claiming. But when we went out to look at the things that he had done, you'll be amazed that, hey, so some people would like to work quietly. Don't forget he came from the academia. And most people from academia, are not very robust. They believe, especially the professors, they believe they have to take their time, and they've read a lot, so they understand the human relationship, right? So he was slow but very effective, very, very effective. Remember, I used to use the word that he was in first gear, then we go to second gear, and then finally, and it did. I mean, there are a lot of, look at the schools under tree. He was an educationist, so he really made sure that he brought education to the fore of his governance. That was why he removed the schools under trees. At least, if he didn't do all, he was able to bring a lot of our young boys and girls into the educational mainstream, right? And he has his faults, but as his goodness outweighs his faults.
All right. I will remember him for that 2008 campaign, because it was a hectic campaign against Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, whose government was then the incumbent, and then also Prof. Samuels, who was the opposition flag bearer, as far as that's the topmost party, the NDC, which ultimately won. It was a very tedious election.
Yes.
Very hectic as far as the running around was.
Yes, Roland, when he started the house-to-house campaign, people were laughing at him. People were laughing at him. They thought he was joking, right? And if you are destined to be somebody, no matter the odds against you, you will get there. You will get there, and he did get there. So I remember the Tyne election when that was the decider. We had to go to Tyne, and very hectic, because that was it wasn't a do and die affair, but it was very necessary that we must have that election take place because of what happened during the election time. So he was destined to be a president, and he was a president, and he died a president. That's the most important thing. He died a president. And that is why we are remembering him, and we will forever remember him for the asumdue that he brought into the country. Because if he had decided to be very vindictive, I think we will still be in that stream of affairs up to today. But this was somebody who was, every morning people were insulting him, right? When you go to him, so Ade, you go to him, he had an attack from the Rawlinses, we all got worried. We used to go to him as Prof. Oh, what's the problem? Can't you get up one morning and go to the Rawlinses' house and go and say, what's the problem? He said, look, I've done all that is humanly possible, right? But God, in his best way, knows what is happening. He was one of the most vilified presidents that this country, and we are still continuing that culture of insulting our presidents, right? And people who are good men, and then when they pass away, we go about eulogizing them. I think we should take a cue from his death, and henceforth, I keep saying the insults are too many. I hope if you go back to play some of the discourse that went on during his tenure, you realize that a lot of Ghanaians have wronged him, and we did wrong him, definitely. We did wrong him.
You could say, as far as towards the end of his death, it was an election year in 2012. Yeah. I believe by the time he died, within the period that he passed on, the public opinion, not of course verified and measured, was that he was likely going to lose the election in 2012. But then his death seemed to have changed.
No. Prof was not going to lose that election. No. You see, a lot of developments have taken place. But because he was a quiet type, it was not being showcased. So a period came when we decided, look, let's go out and showcase what the Prof has done. And it was amazing.
So that's how he went.
Exactly.
Okay.
He went
commissioning the schools
and the roads and all the, and we were all amazed. Right? Ghanaians are very smart.
So you think that if he had run for the election,
he would have won the election? Ghanaians are very smart people.
We don't have hindsight. So you want to say something before we change?
Yes. I mean, that shows you his Christian values, right? And his belief that God has given us a way to live on this earth and not to do things that are not. And one of his attributes was this: a president who can pick up his phone and call a taxi driver, call a mark. There was a story where one of his aides had to change the chip in his phone because they reckoned that he has to rest and the phone calls were coming too much. So he woke up and his phone was not ringing the way he expected it to do. So he picked up the phone. What's happened? He was told that they changed the chip so that he will be able to have enough sleep. And he told them they should never do that again. But that is the way he gets into the grassroots. That he gets into. The president can pick up a phone and call you. Ade, what's them? What do you say about it? I know he was calling journalists. He was calling radio stations.
He called a couple of my friends too.
And that was marvelous, you know. So he was, even though he was an academic, right? He was also a foot soldier. That was why I was able to embark on the House to House campaign.
You and this House to House thing. All right. So